Hey everybody, how you doing? So I'm jumping on the vlog today, happy Sunday by the way, to talk about care and commitment, inspired by some conversations I've been in here recently. And I think I'm going to break it into 3 parts because there's a lot I want to cover. But I've been in a number of conversations about emotion recently, relative generally to gender and culture. And when I was a kid, many people believed very strongly that women were emotional, men were not. People even believed that certain ethnic groups were emotional while others were less so. You know, this group of people is so emotional. And while I think that our ideas about gender, for example, are changing, are becoming more expansive and inclusive, which is great, so these beliefs are not as widely held as they once were, I do think that they're still in circulation. And one thing to understand is that to be human is to have emotion, to be emotional. It's because of our emotion that we bond with each other, that we pursue our dreams, that we participate in life. Now, how we express our emotion will differ from person to person, even culture to culture. But to be a healthy human is to be in healthy relationship with our emotions. And we tend to know that passion, joy, that anger, these are emotional responses. But we might forget that shutting down and stoicism, these are also emotional responses. When a person feels their heart might be at risk, they try to protect their heart by building walls around it. They can turn themselves to stone to say, I don't care. But that's not true. Because in fact, you do care. That's the reason for the passion. It's also the reason for the shutdown. And the truth is, none of us want to live in a world where we don't care. So let's lean into what care is and how we grow in our capacity to care in the best of times and the worst. Now, I talked in a previous post about boundaries, about why they don't work in the way that most people today approach them, in my view. And that's because boundary setting is largely reactive, right? Protective in the way that people approach it today. And that comes from a very self-conscious place. Now, what I mean by that is that when we're in self-conscious, we're preoccupied. We're we're worried about what will they think? What will they say? What will they do? And in our worry, we put up walls. But our place of power is in moving from that self-conscious place, which is a very anxious place, to a more self-aware, more anchored place. And the way we do that is by recognizing, you know what? I don't know and I can't control what anyone else does. And I don't need to be okay. Because my place of power is in figuring out what holds the integrity of my space at any given time. That's what keeps me stable and secure. Now, when you've had a tense exchange with somebody and you feel you did your best, it's really easy to move on, right? Really easy to let go. But when you've had a tense or intense experience with someone and you keep running it over and over in your mind, that's because you're not at peace yet with how you showed up in the exchange. You're bothered because you don't like how you showed up. And as long as you make it about the other person, you stay stuck in that tension, in that internal turmoil and internal argument with yourself. Because you know instinctively that you can't make another person be something or someone that they're not. They're going to be who and where they are. And so are you. So the question to ask yourself with sincerity is, did I show up as my best in that exchange? And getting to that level of clarity, it sets you free. It gets you out of that tension and argument because now there's something you can do about it, right? You can forgive yourself if that feels appropriate, and you can adapt. You can course correct. You can show up differently next time. That's what it means to hold the integrity of your space. To maintain your self-respect and your dignity is to know at the experiential level, I can trust myself to show up consistently as who I want to be, as who I choose to be, as who I say I am. And we can often underestimate the impact it has on our sense of self when we don't show up in that way, because there's no greater betrayal than self-betrayal. So in the next video, I'm going to talk about how you create coherence between who you say you are and who you show up as consistently. Look out for that video in a couple of days, and until soon, much love.